Good afternoon, and welcome to a special edition of CommuniTEA. We are excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about voting, getting registered to
Yes.
vote, and the elections. We have two awesome guests. We'll only be with you for an hour. So please go ahead and begin sharing this, tagging people. This will be a very informative show. Portia, do you have some announcements?
Yes, as always, July. Well, hello, everybody, first. As always, we are a membership-based organization, NAACP. We are powered by members. So as always, I implore you, please, if you're not currently a member of the NAACP, wherever you are, here in Houston, of course, is the NAACP Houston branch, which we are representing today. But we also have over, I think, 2,000 units all across the United States. So we encourage you to go find your local branch or join us here in Houston. And you can join for just $30 for a year. So if you join today on June 11, 2020, you'll be a member until June 11, 2021. And as always, if you want to have a deeper, stronger, more lasting relationship with the NAACP, I encourage you to take out a subscribing life membership. The lowest level of that is $750. You don't have to pay that all at one time. You can pay $75 today and build up over the next 10 years, or you can be like myself in July and double up when you can. So as always, visit naacphouston.org to join our local branch, or naacp.org the national website, to join or find a local unit near you. So just want to go ahead, July.
I was just going to say, I just pinned the link to our membership website.
Awesome. Thank you. So check that out. Go to the membership link. And also, so I don't know if anybody got the chance to watch our national president, Derek Johnson, and also Ed Gordon yesterday when he interviewed or had the opportunity to have a conversation with former Vice President and presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, and also Marcia Fudge of the Ohio 11th District. They had a virtual town hall meeting last night, and I believe the recording is still available. If you go to the NAACP Facebook page, you can still watch it, or YouTube, or go to the national website. It's probably still available for you to watch that. I know they asked some tough questions, and we want to make sure that we're fully vetting our potential candidate. We're nonpartisan, but we want to make sure all candidates are vetted properly before we cast our ballot. So which is very timely considering we're talking all about voting today. So I just want to remind you again, we're going to talk about this as the show goes on, but we have an election coming up here in Texas on July 14th. The deadline to register to vote is on Monday, June 15th, so just a few days away. So if you are not currently registered to vote and you want to, we want you to. It is your civic duty to participate in every election that you are eligible to participate in. So we encourage you, if you're not registered to vote, to get registered today and vote in that election. So early voting starts on June 29th and goes through July 2nd, and then starts back up after the 4th of July holiday on July 5th and continues through the 10th. So, and if you are trying to request a mail-in ballot, you think you need one, you need to request that by July 2nd. But we'll go into more details about that as the show goes on. And July, you want to tell them about what we did today?
Whew, I'm tired. We stood in the Texas heat today. I don't know what the heat index was, but it was hot. Therefore,
100, over 100, I'm sure.
You get in the hat today on freshly shampooed hair after sweating all day. But today we registered hundreds of Houstonians or members of the Houston metro community. I registered folks from Brazoria County. I'm also a VDR in Brazoria County as well as Harris County. So we had people from all over come out. Many of them were people who had been incarcerated previously who were now off papers. We assisted them with registering to vote. We assisted members of the homeless population with getting registered to vote. So today was, as hot as it was a
great day.
Joyful day. Yeah, it was really good to be with people. We want to send a shout out to Trey the Truth, HCC, and all the volunteers.
Whoever else was there.
Relief Gang, and of course your very own NAACP Houston branch. So it was a successful event. and we look forward to doing another one. The last day to register to vote is this Monday, June 15th.
Oh, and my sign just saw y'all, sorry. But it says vote in the back, so that was the whole point. Make sure your voice is heard. So we have some really awesome guests coming up today. They're going to talk about, like we said, focusing on voting and how you're able to vote. We're nonpartisan, so we can't tell you, of course, who to vote for or how to vote, so to speak, but we can always offer you or share the information about what's on the ballot, who's being elected, what the positions are or the offices are, and what they do, so you can better understand. So my personal opinion is a misinformed voter is just as bad as someone not voting. So it's really important that you be able to know who's on the ballot, what they're supposed to do, and then when and where you can vote. So that's what we're doing today. We want to give you all the information that we can to make sure you're prepared to vote for that primary runoff election here in Texas. We don't want to see what happened in Georgia. We want to make sure we're prepared. We want to make sure that, we have everything good to go and that you're prepared to avoid that if you can. I know we had that issue in March here as well with the primary elections. So we want to make sure that people are prepared for the upcoming election.
All right. Well, Portia, I'm going to leave you with our guest. Today's first guest is Raven Douglas of Move Texas. So everyone, welcome Raven to CommuniTEA.
Hi,
Raven. Hey there. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. Thank you so much for joining us, Raven. It's so awesome to finally meet you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for a little bit, but
okay.
I'm back.
Okay. We're so happy to have you. I've heard some wonderful things about you from some of your peers with Move Texas. So introduce yourself to us. Tell us what you do at Move Texas, your specific role, and then what is Move Texas? What do you guys do as an organization?
Yeah, so I'm Raven. I am currently the political director at Move. So in my role, when I tell y'all about Move, we do a lot of voter registration work, but I really focus on advocacy and policy and really ensuring that the policies and ordinances and laws that are passed here in the state and here locally in Houston really benefit not only young people, but communities of color and communities that have continued to be marginalized throughout history. So a lot of my work really involves working with young people and allied organizations like y'all, as well as elected officials, to really ensure that we have a voice at the table. And so I've been at Move for about 3 years. This is really how I got my organizing start, because Move is an acronym, so it stands for Mobilize, Organize, Vote, and Empower. And we are a grassroots, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization working to build power in underrepresented youth groups. And so we were actually started as a student chapter at the University of Texas at San Antonio, and a group of friends who actually went to high school together. They went to college together as well. And so they wanted to see more change at the local level. And so in their first year in 2013, they registered 1,000 students to vote. They were able to advocate for a polling location at UTSA. San Antonio has 14 college campuses, but none of those campuses had polling locations. So they were able to advocate for a polling location on their campus, registered 1,000 students to vote, and actually turned out 800 of them. And so the impact of that election ended up shifting San Antonio politics. So the candidate who ended up winning that election was Ron Nirenberg, who is actually the mayor of San Antonio today. And so through their work, they were able to see the power of young people, right? So we aren't apathetic. It's just that people aren't talking to us. And so through peer-to-peer organizing, we have really been able to grow a relatively large organization. And so we expanded across Texas beginning in 2018. That's when I was brought on the team, as well as 10 other team members. And so today we do work not only in San Antonio, but in Laredo, which is along the border, San Marcos and Seguin, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. And so since 2013, we have registered over 100,000 young people to vote, most of them being young people of color. And we also have a leadership development program. We know that if we want to continue progressive work in Texas, that means training and building civic leaders of tomorrow. So that's how we do that. And then we do advocacy work. So we know voter registration is just the first step to getting involved. And so if we want to build long-term power, that means building long-term power through policy. And so that's kind of how all of our work comes together, and some of the work that we do at Move.
That is awesome. I just want to say, like, that is amazing to hear that young people, and like you made a comment about individuals thinking, sometimes our older generation and our organization, has an older demographic the majority of the time, and just being able to share that story of young people banding together to now have this really successful organization, considering it's just about 7 years old. So that's really awesome to hear the work that you guys are doing and that you've been able to expand it. So you talked a little bit about, the basic thing is voter registration. So we're trying to push that as an organization now, and we actually partnered with someone from your staff, Kristen, to try to push out some voter registration to our membership, and then, Harris County or Houston at large. So tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you've had with voter registration, considering that we're now we're in the pandemic, and people are thinking that we're shifting out of it, but we're still very much in the middle of it.
Right.
What have you guys done to kind of combat against that, considering this is the election year? And then what are you seeing as a result of the pandemic in terms of getting people registered to vote? So what are you guys doing, and then what?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, Texas does not have online voter registration. 29 other states and the District of Columbia have online voter registration, but we don't. So all of our registration has traditionally taken place in person to person. And so we have really had to completely shift how we do our work because we know that this year is super crucial, and we shouldn't let the barrier of voter suppression stop us from getting involved. And so what we have done is shifted our work to completely digital. So the reason that Texas doesn't have online voter registration is because we are a wet signature state. So you have to sign your voter registration application by hand. And so we kind of
clarifying that, because I never knew.
And so we kind of jumped through that hoop. So if you go to, for example, if you go to our website right now at movetexas.org/register, you can complete your application online. We will actually mail that completed application to you. So if you're a young person like me and doesn't have a printer, we'll mail that application to you. And then you sign that wet signature, and then we pay for the postage for it to be mailed to your local elections department. And so again, it would be a lot easier if we were like most states and could just register to vote directly online. But, even despite these barriers, we can still get it done. And so, I think that's kind of our central message, is that, we may have to jump through a few more hoops, but we can still get registered. We can still get involved because this year is so crucial. And so there have been some studies, if you go visit like our social media and Facebook page, that obviously voter registration has essentially plummeted, because of COVID-19 over the past 3 months. But we have actually seen a resurgence in voter registration just in the past weeks because of the unrest, because of the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And so people are invigorated. They are paying attention. They don't mind jumping through these hoops. And so we are just here as a resource to really ensure that those who want to get engaged are able to register. And also, there are college students who are displaced because of COVID that need to request an absentee ballot and things like that. So we are really trying to be a resource and let people know that even though there are some barriers and even though there are some hoops that we have to jump through, we can still get it done, and we can get it done together.
Okay, awesome. And then can you drop just say your social media handles really quick, since you brought that up? I want to make sure that people can go to the website or to your social media sites right now and find the link to, do the voter registration if needed. Did you hear me? Is it just Move Texas? Is it just Move Texas across like all social media platforms?
Yeah, so it's at move_Texas.
Okay, you guys got that so move_Texas to follow Move Texas on the social media. Okay, so You mentioned something about, Texas being the wet state, or I don't know what the exact word you said, but since we have to sign it, is that one of the advocacy issues that you guys have taken up to try to convert Texas to have online voter registration, or to, change anything with the voter registration as it currently is now?
Absolutely. So, so when it comes to online voter registration, that's something that has to be done at the state level.
Right.
So you have to do it through the Texas legislature. Our legislative session only occurs every other year for about 5 months. And so it is a bill that is filed every single year. And so it really has not moved at all. And we have continued to see bills like SB 5 in 2013, which was the most restrictive photo ID law in the country that passed.
Right.
This past session, we saw Senate Bill 9, which was a really bad anti-voter bill. And so what we have realized after 2019 is that we can no longer rely on our state leadership to pass pro-democracy policies. And so we have created a coalition called Democracy from the Ground Up, where we work directly with local officials. So that's county commissioners, county clerks, election administrators, to really try to move the needle at a local level. And so some of that advocacy work has looked like, for example, increasing poll worker pay in Harris County. One of the big things that we have successfully advocated for during this time is that the Harris County Clerk's Office has mailed out a vote by mail application to every registered voter over the age of 65 for the July election. And then they're planning to do that for every single registered voter, no matter how old you are, for November. And so a lot of things happen at the state that we have to follow jurisdiction from the governor and the Secretary of State, but your local elected officials actually have a lot of power. And how elections and voter registration are ran are really at the autonomy, and particularly in Harris County, through the tax assessor and collector's office, that's voter registration, and your county clerk, which is election. So when you see their names on the ballot, county clerk doesn't sound like elections, tax assessor,
it doesn't
collector doesn't sound like voter registration, right? But those are what those people do. And so that's why local elections are super important. But we've moved the needle incredibly at the local level. And so hopefully, because we've built this support at the county level, we can go back in 2021 at the legislative session. And I think COVID is obviously a good argument for us to really upgrade and update our barbaric elections system, because the technology is there. There's no reason why we shouldn't have online voter registration in Texas.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much, Raven. We're wrapping up on our time, but I wanted to say, how can people get involved in this fight? Because you guys are doing some amazing work. So I appreciate you telling our viewers all of the information. So how can individuals help right now? And then your call to action? So how can people join in to help you guys with your efforts, and then give us a last and final call to action?
Yeah, so we are, again, because of everything that's happening right now, we have decided to deploy our field team. So our organizers wanted to get out there. They've been showing up to marches and protests anyway. And so we are getting them all the equipment and things they need to begin doing in-person voter registration again. So if you are, up to and healthy enough to do voter registration, or even help us make some phone calls, right, for Get Out the Vote, for early voting, email us at info@movetexas.org. And we will make sure that our local organizer, Kristen, can get in contact with you. And then also on the advocacy side, we're showing up to county commissioners meetings. We're showing up to city hall, not only to talk about voting, but to talk about police reform and police brutality. And so if you are, passionate about those issues, email us at info@movetexas.org to ensure that we can get connected with you. And I think my call to action right now is particularly obviously around voting, right? Like I said, there are barriers that are not coincidental that are put in place to silence the voices, particularly of young Black and Brown voters. Looking at our country, they make it seem like swing voters are these middle-aged white people in Iowa, and that is not true. The real swing voters that shift our elections are Black and Brown young people. And so your vote is so important and it is so crucial. If you are a college student and you need to request your absentee ballot, you have about 2 weeks to do that. Request your absentee ballot. Don't wait for it. Update your voter registration application if you need to through the Secretary of State's website. So really, my call to action right now is just get involved through voting and volunteer your time and resources where you can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Raven, for joining us and dropping all this knowledge. We would love to have you guys back again, and we will definitely be in contact so that we can employ some of our volunteers to help you guys in your efforts, and we can join up and do some great work. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Well, that was awesome. She dropped so much knowledge. We have to get her back. That was so much helpful information. And I didn't even know that they did all that work. So that's amazing and then even here on a local level. So I'm empowered. I hope that everybody else that's watching is empowered. And even if you're not here in Texas, I saw a couple people streaming from where I used to live in St. Louis. So do it in St. Louis too. I know my family watches in Michigan. So do it where you are, find an organization like Move Texas in your local area and get involved. So vote, 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 vote. One more time, vote.
So before we bring in our next guest, Portia and I wanted to talk a little bit about the ballot. So we have how many races on the July ballot, Portia?
Oh, geez. Okay. So for the Democrats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 for the Dems and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the Republicans.
So 19 races in all in the runoff election. So one race in particular that most people seem to not understand what is the role of that office, that is the Railroad Commission. And so we do have, is it 1 or 2 runoffs for Railroad Commissioner?
It's just 1 for the Democrats.
So the role of the Railroad Commission is to regulate oil and gas. That's like their number one. That's their biggest thing. Pipeline safety, gas utilities, petroleum gas industry, and surface level coal and uranium around the state. So that is their main.
I would not have known that.
It has nothing to do with the railroad per se.
Can we petition to change the name of the position?
It's misleading. So the other office that you would think would have this name is the General Land Office. You would think that's what they did, but that's a whole other conversation. We'll educate you about that on another day.
Yes.
But we did want to make sure you understood what the Railroad Commission does, how they operate. One thing that I would encourage is for you to Google each of these titles, positions, so you can understand what are the responsibilities for those roles. And also, after you do the Google, then I want you to search the candidates so you can see what about them makes them best for that position. Again, we are a nonpartisan organization. We do not endorse candidates. Organization. So you won't hear from us as an organization who we advise you to vote for. Our main thing is that we educate you about voting. We help you get registered to vote, and we do whatever we can to mobilize the vote. So with that said, thank you, Portia, for joining us today. I'm going to bring in Damian Walker. Will you stick around so maybe you have a few questions for him?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring in Damian Walker. Hi, Damian.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So I just left Damian like an hour ago. We were together for a voter registration drive, which was inspired by what we're going to talk about today. And that is registering people to vote after they have been incarcerated here in Texas. And so Damian Walker and I met, how long ago? Maybe a year and a half ago?
Year and a half, yeah, close to year and a half.
Yeah. And he shared his story with me. and we became fast family, not fast friends, but fast family. And he's just a really good guy. So Damien, tell us the short part of your story so we can get into the importance of voting.
It started out, I guess, why I'm here. I got incarcerated at the age of 16, was arrested as a juvenile, sent to Harris County Juvenile Courts, went through the certification process, was certified as an adult at 17. I went to the adult courts, as we called it, was later found guilty. I pled out to some crimes that I didn't do. I was facing 150 years, and I pled out to 25 years. So I have 25-year sentences run concurrent. And I was incarcerated for 17 years. So right at 16, from 16 to 33, I was incarcerated, and then was released, got a degree while I was in prison, went to University of Houston when I was released, and been doing some work, been doing some community work since I've been out, and been able to be a part of a thriving community of those that are formerly incarcerated out here in society.
Okay, awesome. So as someone who's been formerly incarcerated, how did you feel after you first got registered to vote?
The feeling was like, okay, it was a piece of paper, you know, because we did it at TSU when the Women's National Convention or something was down. It was crazy at TSU that day. So it was like it was a piece of paper. I always look for it in the mail. I didn't know what I was looking for. I think I called you one time. I was like, man, what am I looking for? What's supposed to come? Can I vote? I didn't know if I could vote. And when I got the paper, it was just like, okay, now I can go. And I was told people, yeah, it was real. So I was told people I waited on the last day because I was like, I want to feel my ancestors felt. I want to go and just, but the community I stay in, I went right in, right out. So I didn't get to wait in the long line until that runoff that day. And it was long line. So it wasn't the fact of registering, it was the fact of voting. It was the completion of the process where I actually felt like a citizen. I actually felt like I had contributed, though I pay taxes, though I pay all these fees for school and everything else. It was the fact of when I voted and I got the sticker, I actually felt like a citizen of the United States.
Oh, wow. So you voted for the first time last November?
Yes.
So in the mayoral race, it was easy, but for the runoff?
Ooh, yeah, it was tough.
Okay. Yeah. And then how was it for you in March in the primary election? How was that?
Okay, so the primary was the one that was tough. So I went later in the day, and I actually I learned my lesson, so I'm early voting from here on out. But I had to drive to another location. I ended up going to San Jack, and so I ended up driving to another location, and that was even more amazing because I got to see the individuals in line waiting, family members coming and bringing water. Like, I'm not getting out of line. The individuals that are in the parking lot still lobbying in a sense, you know. So just to see, and I say citizens, but just to see those individuals that are serious about not only voting, but making sure their voice is heard. I think that's what is more to me, you know, your voice is heard. So you see the Hispanics, you see the African Americans, you see the Caucasians, you see everybody, and they are out here and they want to make sure that their voice is heard because we have that as citizens. Our voice can be heard, and as ex-offenders, our voice can be heard.
Yeah. So as an ex-offender, you had to wait, and what we call it is you had to wait till you were off papers.
Yes, I had to wait till I was released off of parole.
So we had a subscriber to our page comment after we posted that, you know, we would be talking about this, and said you don't necessarily have to wait till you're off papers if you're in a certain program. Are you familiar with that program?
I don't know about that program. No, ma'am.
Okay.
Unless it's something that you can verify, don't do it because that's falsifying documents and whatnot. So from my experience, I would say wait. So it's exonerated, released off of probation or parole. You have the opportunity to vote immediately.
Okay. So once you're either exonerated, released from probation, or released from parole, you can register to vote immediately.
Immediately, you do not have to wait.
Let's talk about how you got on today's show, besides your wonderful friend. Earlier, well, maybe it was last weekend, Trey the Truth, Houston, I call him a Houston icon. He's a philanthropist. He does a lot in the community, and he's also a musician, but he really does a lot in this community through Relief Gang and other initiatives. He does a lot of partnerships. He posted on his social media, what about felons? Can they vote? Yes or no? And he was literally asking. And we commented and we connected with him and told him how they could. And then we put him with you. And you produced a quick video from your vehicle after talking to Trey to kind of tell your story and the importance of getting registered to vote. So today we registered many people who were formerly incarcerated, who are now off papers, as well as members of the homeless population, some who too are now off papers. Tell us about the work that you're doing in this space as it relates to targeting the formerly incarcerated, getting them registered to vote.
I think that it will start with something that you and I were texting last night, that it's no longer about information, it's about education. So they have to be educated, because a lot of times those of us that were in the streets, those of us that were in prison, we believe the narrative about ourselves that we won't be anything. We believe the narrative about ourselves that we won't be able to contribute not only to our families, but to society as well. So when I learned that I could vote, and people, other guys that were incarcerated told me, it was like, well, we don't know that. We don't have that information. So ever since I've been educated, I've been doing my best to educate others, brothers that have been out of prison for 15 years that have never voted, and was saying, man, you pay these taxes, you contribute to your neighborhood, why not? So my goal, my simple purpose right now is to make sure that if they want to see a law, I will look up that law for them. I have looked up that law and shared that law. If they want to just talk and say, again, I'm bipartisan as well. I do other things where I'm not able to say vote for this person, but I'll say, okay, you do your research on who you want to vote for. Look in your community, because again, your children are going to this school. So you have to personalize it. You have to make sure that if a person doesn't understand their rights, you kind of educate them on why they have the rights. We've seen the videos about our ancestors and 40, 50, 60 years ago being turned away, and the poll taxes and everything else. We know the history, and we still live like we're in that history because we haven't been re-educated. So a lot of us, including myself, we needed to be re-educated. So that's what I've been doing lately, is just serving that purpose of, if somebody needs to know some information, I'll look it up. I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to other organizations and say, okay, what can I tell this individual? And sometimes it's not a group. I don't have 5 people. I don't have 50 people. If it's one person, I will take out 20, 30 minutes, 2 hours to make sure I get one person answer that they're looking for, because at this point, they don't have an answer. They just don't know. And that's my purpose right now.
Okay. Let's talk about the information, your research, the information that you learned from the Kinder Institute. The Kinder Institute is probably one of the premier urban research sources here in the Houston region, or even in Southeast Texas. Tell us what you learned from Kinder Institute in regards to those who are formerly incarcerated and voting.
There was an article from the Kinder Institute, and it was 2019. And it said that 30,000 individuals will be getting off of supervision in 2020. So it's 2020. So we don't know necessarily what month, and we can't specify what number because that number wasn't released. But 30,000 individuals that will be registered to vote. So we've seen elections lost by thousands. We've seen elections lost by 500. So just think about 50% of that. If those individuals will get out and vote, but they have to understand that they can vote. And another thing is that a House bill, which I didn't know until I read this article, and I was in Austin lobbying last time, that a House bill 1419, it was written by Democratic Synfronia Thompson. She has authored a bill that says that she wants the individuals that are still on parole to be able to vote. So from my understanding, that bill will be renamed and it will be up for the next session. So that's something that I'm looking forward to, and we want to get that information out. So just a simple fact of, let me give you another number that people don't know. 15,000 men and women are released to Houston, Harris County area on parole or out of TDC, only TDC every year. That's only TDC, not including federal, not including individuals coming from other states. 15,000 are released in Houston, just only in Houston every year. So there's a big, massive community of formerly incarcerated men and women that have an opportunity to be a part of society and share their voice. You have a vote, you have a voice.
All right. In the comments, those of you who are listening, in the comments, Portia just posted the link to the article that Damien mentioned from the Kinder Rights Institute. So make sure that before the end of the broadcast or right now, you click it so it'll be open in another window. Don't leave us. Stay here with us. But go ahead and open it. That way you'll have that link ready so you can read that article after the show concludes. So 30,000 just period that will be released in 2020, but 15,000 annually are released into Harris County every year.
Every year, 15,000.
So how effective, how important, let me put it this way. How important or how inspired, I don't know which word to use, but what was your sentiments? That's it. What were your sentiments when you saw what Trey the Truth was doing just through his platform? What he's done from last week when y'all connected to what we did today in that parking lot in I don't know how many 100 degrees of weather.
Yeah, it was hot out there today. Just to see that somebody that came from what he came from, I don't know his full story, but through entertainment, being able to see that and the way that he's adjusted himself to become a leader in Houston by saving people from Harvey or doing things like that, to becoming, and I don't know if people understand this, but in my view, becoming a world leader, because his face is throughout the world at this particular time, along with Stephen Jackson and other people that have gotten behind George Floyd. It's the tragedy, the crime where, and I told you that like I cried for a couple of days, just in my house, thinking about my daughter and everything that I've been through. But to see that a man it's sacrifice. Service is sacrifice. He's not only serving, but he's sacrificing. He has children that he's not able to be around. And those yourself, a lot of individuals are sacrificing right now. Some people are frightened because they don't know if there's backlash. So to see that an individual of his stature has not only become a world leader, but has become somebody that others are inspired by is amazing. From a neighborhood that people don't expect a lot of good to come out of. And just like the George Floyd thing, like coming from 3rd Ward, CUNY Homes. I looked at a picture last night. My daughter and I were in CUNY Homes at a rally one time. She didn't know that she was in CUNY Homes. She don't know nothing. She knows she had a snow cone and she was in a bouncy house. And that's it. So in the communities that we serve right now, there are leaders being brought up, and Trey is one of them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's spectacular. And just shout out to him again. He stayed out there with us. So he's not, I'm going to put this together and put my name on it and be gone. No, he was there. He was there with us throughout the day. This morning we started at 9 and I think they're just wrapping up at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, yeah. So like a whole trip.
Here, they've wrapped up, and we were out there several hours. Of course, I left early because of the show, and Damien left early because of the show. But really, big shout out to Trey the Truth and Relief Gang. Big shout out to Damien too, because it was his story that really, him sharing his experience and his knowledge pushed Trey to ask for the video.
Yeah.
That he produced, the quick video in your car. We've shared that video.
Thank you.
Many people came out today and they said it was that video that is the reason why they came out to vote. They didn't know. Also last night, The media covered it. I don't know which network, but local media covered it. Local media was out there today. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez swung by. He picked up water. He was helping out. All hands on deck. But the beautiful part was the number of people we registered to vote. I think the youngest person I registered to vote was a new 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And
I want to say something about the sheriff that what I noticed was the same thing that Trey was doing, and the same thing a couple of leaders out there. The same thing that you out there by yourself. Like the sheriff didn't come with other cars. He pulled up in a nondescript Tahoe, whatever he was in, and Trey was basically out there by himself. So it's not the fact that everywhere you go there's a big entourage. It's the fact that these are servants. So a servant can go somewhere by themselves and be respected in any neighborhood, in any area, or sometimes in any cause. I just want to say that before we got off there. I noticed that it was, and that's kind of what shook me when I saw the sheriff out there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just happy that we were able to register people. We register people from Fort Bend County. So as a BDR, you can serve in multiple jurisdictions. So I have two. I have Brazoria and Harris. We had someone else who had Harris and Fort Bend. We're going to add more. We're going to add like Liberty County, Waller County. We're going to get more active so we can go out into other areas. So if you're interested in having a voter registration drive in your community, you can contact us. You can inbox us here. If you need some spotlight on your community, one lady asked today if we could help near Baytown. So we're going to work on organizing something for that side of town. Someone else asked about the north side. We will get over there. We try to be centrally located and inside the loop, not necessarily third ward, but midtown, downtown. That way everyone can get there in an equal amount of time. But we have people from all over the city today. So I just want to commend you, Damien, for your leadership, your willingness. You stepped up quick, to be a part of a historical moment. I think what we're seeing right now will be historic, the turnout. And I think we're going to see a lot of younger people. I know 18 to 35 is our largest group of potential voters. But historically, they have not been voting at their full potential, or not even at halfway their full potential. But I think now with the climate of the country, we're going to see more younger people voting. And it's very important that we encourage Generation Z to vote, millennials to vote, Generation Y to vote. So I am focused on ages 18 to 45 to get out and vote. That's a wide span. But the leading voting population is 65 and older. And I just think it's a shame. No, I want to see 65. I want to see beyond 65. But I think it's a shame that older people outvote young people when the decisions that are being voted on, they more than likely won't be around to see coming to fruition. But the people who they're going to affect will be here. And we want to make sure that the things that we're voting for positively impact our communities. So again, Damien, I thank you for joining us. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Can you tell us about what you do in the community right now?
So right now, basically, one of the positions that I've been afforded the opportunity to have is the executive director of the Houston Reentry Coalition. It is a 9-year-old organization, and the irony of it is that everybody that was in the organization were former probation officers or prison directors. And these individuals that saw me when I was in prison, as I was in the program at Caravan Unit, and I was going to meetings, I was helping, attending whatever I could. And I went and sat down one day, and they was like, Damon, okay, we're electing you to be the executive director. I was like, well, I'm just coming to a meeting. And to have individuals, again, former probation and parole officers retired, to say, Damon, we want you to be able to lead us and establish the vision of this agency. It's been amazing. It's been one of the most honoring moments of my recent life. So we've been doing that, and basically you can contact me 713-499-9372 or through some sort of inbox. What we're doing right now is just resources, food, clothing, education. There's so much educational opportunities for formerly incarcerated men and women, free trainings from Google trainings all the way to CDL. So you can contact me, and I would love to connect you to those resources. And a lot of times, support groups. You need support groups. If you come out of prison after 3 years and you did a hard 3 years, or if you did 3 years and you feel like, man, I shouldn't have been there, or if you came out and did 40 years, we just helped a guy that did 40 years. You need support. So don't lie to yourself. And I will say that I was the one that thought I didn't need support at one time too. You need support. There's so much out here in life that you have to traverse. So the Houston Reentry Coalition, you can contact me and we can connect. Also, I work for agency SARE, and we provide free job training to
Give me the name of the Houston what?
Houston Reentry Coalition.
Reentry Coalition.
Mm-hmm. And I work for another nonprofit agency, workforce development agency, and we have programs for formerly incarcerated men and women where we provide not only guidance, but we help with trainings, jobs. So that's SARE jobs. So you can always go to sarehouston.org and you can fill out that application and somebody will connect you. Not only formerly incarcerated, but those that have barriers to employment. You can go to sarehouston.org and you can fill out the application and somebody will connect you. So those are my main things. SER Houston.org. So those are some things that I've been doing. Hopeful that the radio station opens back up and we can start our radio show again at KCOH, the oldest African-American owned station in Texas, the second oldest in the nation. KCOH has been around for 50, 70 years. So it's an honor that I have a radio show on there. And those are my main things. Getting ready to go back to school. We talked about that today. But the overall goal is, and I want to say one thing, I know we may be in it soon, is that I told you that I struggled with the with George Floyd thing as everybody else had. And I decided to celebrate his life. A lot of people have been inspired and invigorated with what happened in death, but his life, the way that everybody testified. If everybody's testifying about you one way, I mean, that's in itself just shows that this man was wanting to change his life, but he was a good person despite changes that things that he had went through. So I chose to share a picture with him and his daughter, and I also tagged myself with a picture of me and my daughter. And man, the song "The Children Are Our Future." I mean, you can't beat that. So I stand with you, Jules. I'm a father, but I'm also a community member, and I want to make sure that fathers, formerly incarcerated, African American men, those that have barriers in their life, that you go after. You do what you can. But first of all, man, you gotta believe in yourself, and if not, you can reach out to somebody else, and somebody believes in you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Damien, and the work that you're doing with the Reentry Coalition and just in the community, period. I met you were a public speaker, you know, and that's how we met. And so I just really thank you for your willingness to serve, your willingness to share your own story. We'll definitely get you back on the show so we can hear the whole story.
Okay.
It's like a little movie when you listen to it.
Yeah.
But we really do appreciate having you on today. Again, if you all need to get registered to vote, you can reach out to Damien. His number is there in the comments. You can inbox us if you would like to have a voter registration drive after Monday. We're booked. We're not doing anything else before Monday. Okay. But if you would like us to assist you in getting registered or becoming a VDR, that's someone who can register other people, please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you with that. Damien, do you have any last words before we let you go?
Guys, just take advantage of the opportunities that you have. Again, I always say citizen. That's just the word. But the opportunities that you have as a citizen. And don't speak down on it if you don't want to do it. That's one of the main things. I had 2 of those conversations today. If you don't want to do it, okay, that's fine with you. But you don't have to speak down on it. You don't have to discourage others. because when you discourage others, now myself, Jules, others in the community, we have to re-educate people. And that's time that we could have been educating somebody else. So it's difficult to re-educate a person. It's kind of easy to educate a person. So again, use the opportunities that you have to serve in the area that you're in. Serve where you're at.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Damien. We look forward to having you back on the show again. You have a good evening, okay?
I look forward to it. You too. Thank you.
All right. Portia.
That was powerful. And I love that last comment. Like, I'm such a proponent. If you're not going to do it, like, you don't have to tell other people not to do it. Just that's your own personal choice. Keep it to yourself. You know, July, like, we go out in the community all the time. You always have to have that conversation with somebody. Or you're like, do you want to be registered to vote? I don't vote. You know, and I always want to say, like, okay, that's fine. You know, I'll tell you all the things. I'll ramble off the reasons why you should vote. And if you still tell me no, I'm going to say, okay, like, that's fine. But do not, I repeat, do not complain about what happens if you don't register to vote and you don't vote. And if you register to vote and you don't vote, you worse. So, you know, I just truly.
You sound like
I know. But that's what I really believe. And I love that you said, you know, when you say that, when you put that negative energy out there, you make those negative comments, you know, you discourage some people. And depending on your sphere of influence, like, if you're a prominent person or a lot of people trust your opinion and follow you, you know, it can be devastating. And so I'm happy that Damien's out here, Trey the Truth is out, you know, trying to tell people and using their platforms to educate people. And they're going to definitely bring in some people that you and myself cannot.
Yeah,
so
we had somebody today that was like, y'all not registering these homeless people. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, literally sitting down with people, you know, we treat people with humanity. You know,
respect,
respect, you know, I'm gonna treat them the same way as somebody who drove up, you know, actually better because they get to sit down with us, got water, you know, but I just think people expect when they see some people, when they see someone doing something, they want to put all the blame of what hasn't happened and make it that one person's responsibility. And I know that's everybody from a place of hurt, but when it's 110 degrees outside, you come fussing and cussing at me.
You can't miss me with all of that,
you know. But I'm glad that we did get many people registered to vote. I had a brother recently off papers. I just want to talk about some of the people today because it felt good to meet them and to hear their stories, to encourage them and be encouraged by them. One gentleman off papers. He's living on the South Side now, but he's moving to Katy this weekend. So he went to use his new address.
Oh, that's great.
He got registered. And he was like, you know, I really hate I can't vote in Houston. He said, but I'm not going to be living here.
Well, and where you live.
Well, to make you feel better, there are no Houston elections on this ballot.
Right.
So you're good for July's runoff and for November, and that made him happy. There was a teenager from Brazoria County. His dad brought him to get registered to vote. Shout out to the dad, the family. That was beautiful seeing him bring his son. He asked about registering his other son, what he needed to do. We talked about where to go vote in Brazoria County, in Pearland. So this was a very good day. We had groups from all over the city of Houston that came out to assist people with voter registration. We had VDRs and people who were not VDRs who just sat there and just helped us get water to people, made sure that we...
You need those people too.
Yeah, you need them. We were running, so they would run the pens back to... We had a cleaning station.
Oh, that's awesome. Y'all thought about everything.
We were on it, right? So they would take the pens that had been used and go clean them and bring us back another container for us to put the new pens in. So like it was very powerful to just work with one another. Again, we had many people first time registering to vote, first time ever voting. Some people who have not voted in years. There was a gentleman, he was like, I'm going to vote by mail. I was like, do you need assistance? He was like, nope, my wife going to do it. She going to show me what to do because she always votes that way. And he was just so proud to be off his papers. I won't forget him. He drove a big, beautiful white Silverado, brand new, beautiful. I love pickup trucks.
Obviously.
But it was just nice to hear their stories and their why. I love to hear a person tell me their why because it hits home. So just shout out to everyone who came out to register to vote today, and everyone who made today possible, especially the volunteers. And thank you to Subway. That was across the street. I don't think they donated food, but they kept people fed. I didn't eat it. You know, I'm picky.
Yeah, you are.
But they took care of people today. So today was magnificent.
I just want to say one thing, and this stuck out to me last year at our Freedom Fund Gala last year. Benny Thompson, who's the chair of the Homeland Security Committee from Mississippi, he said something last year during the Freedom Fund. He was the keynote speaker, and he made a profound comment. But he said the one thing that puts everybody on equal footing, the millionaire and the homeless man, is the right to vote.
The right to vote.
Is the right to vote. So you have, if you feel marginalized and put down and oppressed, which we are, right, in all facets of life, the one place that we have, the one thing that we can do is vote. So vote, because that puts you on equal footing with the people that have that 1% that we always talk about, the 1%, like that puts you on equal footing. So you have the same power that they have in that regard. So when he said that, I was just like, that was so profound. Like I immediately like tweeted it and was like, yes, Benny, you know. So just remember that, y'all. The millionaire and the homeless person, same, one vote.
Yeah. And all you need is, you don't even have to have an exact address. So don't think that homeless people can't register to vote. If they live at the corner of Main and West Gray, at the Greyhound, Main and West Gray, that can go on that card. Because again, you don't have to have your card to vote. You just need an ID. An ID, a birth certificate. So thank you all.
And Raven touched on that too. We do have some very strict voter ID laws here in Texas, y'all. We gotta move the needle, but we're gonna change it.
Because we're gonna get the voting and we're gonna remove those who don't do the will of the people. All right. So thank you all for tuning in today for this special edition of CommuniTEA, where we focused on voting and restorative rights for those who have been formerly incarcerated but are now completely free again. They're liberated. We hope that you'll tune in to see us next Wednesday for our show. We'll put the flyer out probably Tuesday for next Wednesday show. And we have some other good announcements coming down that we cannot wait to share with you. So with that said, coming up. We bid you an adieu. You have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, guys.